morning, everybody. Welcome back to another episode. We are on episode 6 of our Perseverance Under Pressure podcast. Today, we're going to talk about fear. All right. So fear is one of the strongest, if not the absolute strongest emotion and feeling that one can experience. Fear is actually debilitating when it comes to execution. So when it comes to action, your nervous system actually has what's called the sympathetic or the parasympathetic. And in our sympathetic nervous system, it's known as the fight or flight. Fight, flight, freeze, or fawn tends to be the new definition for your sympathetic nervous system. But most people are either going to freeze or flight. So you're either going to run or you're going to just be crippled and paralyzed in fear. And so when we look at fear in the component of an obstacle to overcome, because that obstacle is preventing us from achieving the success, from achieving the correct action, from achieving the execution that we need to take in order for us to be able to bring our goals, our visions into fruition. So, one of the biggest things I will share with you guys in terms of fear was the fear of losing everything, the fear of letting go, the fear of things, people, places being removed from my life. And so one of the biggest things during my journey, when I moved and relocated out to Arizona, which funny enough, this is where I'm coming to you live from. But when I relocated to Arizona during the middle of the lawsuit that we talked about, the challenge was I had gone through some growth in myself. I had felt finally at peace with contentment, which was interesting because I had never really been content before. It always scared me. It felt like a prison if I was just kind of settling and content with what is and what isn't. But it felt good. It felt like something that I was able and wanted to use, do, and be in that state of contentment. So when I was with my ex, she was my girlfriend, she was my partner, we had our house, we had our 2 cats, I had my home gym that was set up during COVID, I was building my clients for therapy and for personal training, we were growing our company as we were trying to maneuver through the lawsuit and finish that completion. And I remember we were, so I'll rewind it real quick. My goal and my focus on continuing to tell the universe, I want to build this company. I want to grow this company. I want to spread this healing. I want to meet more people. I want to see more places. I want to travel. I want the experience of just being able to live life, to see new places, have new experiences, meet new people, whether they're good, bad experiences, just experience life. And so the funny thing about the universe is when you're telling it something, it's going to start manifesting things for you. So we made it through the lawsuit, and my whole mindset was, okay, we can now push the pedal to the floor. We can build this company. We can travel. We can grow, and the sacrifice was going to be the stability, right? The being able to, okay, well, we have our home clients, our home business. Well, there's going to be a sacrifice. If we're going to build this business, we're going to need to travel, which means we're going to have to sacrifice stability at home and personal sessions with our personal clients. Or if we're going to sacrifice building the business so that we can stay home and do this. But that wasn't where I thought we wanted to go. It was where I wanted to go, but come to find out shortly later, it wasn't what my ex wanted, and it showed. And so by Christmas time of 2021, my cat all of a sudden dropped dead. We were in our house. I was working on her. My cat was running around. We had to keep them separated because they never got along for almost a year and a half. And so my cat was running around, and we heard this weird guttural sound. And I was like, what the hell was that? So I go in the living room, and my cat's just on his side, barely breathing. And I run over to him, and I pick him up, and he's just limp, and he takes his last breath in my hands. And I'm just, my brain doesn't know, I can't process. I don't know what the hell just happened. My cat just suddenly dropped dead. And there was a lot of stress from the lawsuit. There was a lot of negative energy. Whether you guys want to believe in demons and energetic attacks and dark energy, and that's what we were experiencing. So my initial thought was, man, did this energy kill my cat? Did something happen? Go check on her cat. And so what really, I think, in context was starting to happen was that was right before Christmas in 21. And I'm telling the universe, I want to travel. I want to build this company. I want to grow this. And the universe is starting to tell me, if this is what you want, your cat's not going to come with you. It's not a traveling cat. It's a house cat. So we're going to remove this cat from your life. We're going to take this. And then January comes, and we're going to Vegas, our first course up in Vegas that we were teaching. And I could just feel, you know, when you feel something just is off, you get those hairs on the back of your head, somebody's watching you, somebody's stalking you, the energy, it just feels off. And so we went up to Vegas, and I could tell the relationship was feeling off. It was, we weren't taking pictures together anymore. She was doing her own thing. It felt like we were more roommates than we were partners in a romantic type of relationship. And so we're in Vegas, we're teaching second week of January, and maybe third week of January. And we go to Red Rock out in Vegas. We go hiking, we take some time to ourselves, we take some pictures, but we're basically taking our own photos. And we took one or two photos together, and we had a conversation. We had a deep conversation, and I expressed to her literally what my biggest fear was. And I said, my biggest fear is that I've been with 3 other women who have either left me or really took a toll on my personal life. And my biggest fear is that I have moved my life and relocated out to Arizona. I don't really know anybody. I've been here for a little over a year, almost a year and a half. And, you know, I've spent a year and a half getting to know her family, spending time with them, doing holidays with them. I moved out here. My family was in Massachusetts. And so everything I knew from Arizona was tied to her. And I said, my biggest fear is losing you, losing the house, losing your family, and when I've went through relationships with ex-girlfriends in the past, you know, typically their family is their family. So when they move on, family moves on, and you just kind of lose contact and touch. And so she told me, no, I can't imagine my life without you. You've helped me through so much. We've been through so much together. And I just said, okay, if that's what it is, I will take you at face value, and if that's what you're telling me, then that's what I'll believe. And one of the biggest things, I think, was I verbally expressed what my biggest fear in that moment of time was. And the universe answered me back with, cool, well, we're going to make you face your biggest fear. If this is your biggest fear, we're going to hit you with it to see how you can handle it, to see how you respond to it, but not only to see how you respond to it, how do you grow from it? How do you use this obstacle, this challenge, this opportunity to face your fear and continue moving up the mountain in which the direction you've said you wanted to go? So we get back from Vegas, and we're supposed to go teach in Delaware. And it's our first Delaware course. And so she starts freaking out. She's got too many clients. It's too close. It's too back to back. She's having panic attacks. I was like, no problem. I will go teach by myself. We've been living together now for 1.5 years straight. We've been teaching classes straight. We've been through the lawsuit. We've been through all this stuff. So it'll be okay and good for some solo time. So I go out to Atlanta. She drops me off from the airport, or she drops me off at the airport. I fly out, first flight to Atlanta, then I fly to Delaware. And we had a great class. I think there was 10 or 12 people in the class. It was a great turnout. I fully enjoyed being present in the moments of teaching. It felt good. It felt light. And we talked a little bit each night, but it was one of those things. You could feel that energy. The energy was just still off. Something wasn't right. And so on the last night, Sunday night, before I'm flying home on Monday, she calls and asks me how class was. And I'm like, oh, class was awesome. It was great. This, that, blah, blah, blah. And I'm on a high. I'm feeling great about it. And I said, what's going on with you? She says, I'm breaking up with you and I moved out. Yeah. So over the phone, all the way across the country, she breaks up with me, and apparently she moved out in the 5 days that I was gone to teach class, which was our company at the time. So my brain couldn't fathom it. I couldn't understand it. It didn't make sense. I wasn't able to feel anything other than the fear coming up of my entire life just crumbled. We made it through a lawsuit. We made it through a pandemic. We made it through this. We had nothing in front of us now but to grow this company, to run with it, to get out of our debt, to start doing what we originally wanted to do 3 years prior in 2019 when I started the company. And in that moment when, again, I think I talked about when I lost my girlfriend, my house, and my job when I was a personal trainer, it brought me back to there. But now life is a very different circumstance. Now we have a house. Now we have at the time, I believe, $115,000 attorney fees that we still owe from our $250,000 lawsuit that it cost us. So my brain goes into, I guess, survival mode. It's, okay, if you don't want to be with me, I totally understand. That's fine. But this is real world scenario now. This isn't high school bullshit. We're not, 20 years old, living at our parents' house, dating each other. We're living together. I've relocated my entire life. I just expressed to you the month before my biggest fear, in which the universe just used her to hit me with that obstacle or the opportunity. And so I cried. I was scared. It literally felt like my legs had no balance. It was like my life just got swept out from under me. And in that moment, I had to use the tools that I was learning in terms of meditation work, in terms of grounding, in terms of, am I in control, or are these emotions and feelings in control of me? And so fear is a very, very powerful feeling. It will debilitate people and knock you to your knees and keep you there until it takes everything from you, including your life. Or it can be one of the most powerful opportunities for personal growth, for mental growth, clarity, and enlightenment. So I flew home. She didn't pick me up from the airport. I had to have my client pick me up. And when we walked into the house, I walked around and it just felt cold. It felt painful. It felt like the things that she had been holding on to, some of it from me in the beginning of our relationship, which we talked about, and clearly it wasn't something that was fully processed through. But there was pain, and it didn't feel like healing. It felt like pain. And in that moment, I had to realize hurt people, and healed people try to help people heal. And so I walked through it. I felt the pain, I felt the anger, I felt the resentment, I felt all of it. I felt all of it. But the focus was not attaching. I still had life to live. My life doesn't stop because my girlfriend breaks up with me. My life doesn't end because the business partner wants to leave the business. My life doesn't end because she makes choices for the best of her. Regardless of if it's the best for me, she has made the choice that was benefiting her in that moment of time. And I have done the same thing. I've made choices that have caused other people pain or perceived pain because it wasn't what they wanted, but it was what was best for me. So in that moment, I had to practice compassion and empathy and understanding. My life, I have no idea what it looks like. I have no clue. Do I stay in Arizona? Do I stay in this house? Why would I stay in this house when my girlfriend just left me and it was our house together? I'm not going to finish paying off the rental lease when both of our names are signed to this. So we need to figure out her half of the payment. I'm not going to pay off all of our attorney fees. We need to figure out her part of the payment. We need to remove her from the business if she no longer wants to be a part of business. It was like a divorce. It really was. And I had to sit with it. And my family wanted me to come back to Massachusetts. My family didn't understand it. They were very supportive of me. And I had to sit with it, and I had to say, I don't know what life looks like, but I need to feel and process and just be here and figure out what the next steps are. Is it a lateral move? Does it make sense to stay in Arizona, get a condo, get another house, pay for it by myself when I'm trying to build this business, but I've now just lost my business partner? I still have the fees I have to pay. I don't have friends or family really out here. I had some friends, I will say that. I had some friends, and I have some good friends today still. But it really led me into a deeper depth of my own mentality. Every night, I would go sit in the steam room at the gym and I would meditate. And I would spend about 45 minutes to an hour. I had nobody to come home to. She took her cat. Obviously, it was her cat. My cat had died. So I went home to an empty house in which literally I lost 3 of the most important things in my life at that time. My cat, and her. And so it was a shell of what it was. And in that moment of clarity, I had realized I have to leave Arizona. I have to step away because everything from Arizona I knew through her. It was my first trip here that I met her, and every other trip since was revolved around her or our relationship. So for me, I love it here, but I had to leave. I had to abandon the stability. The universe had already removed her, removed the cat, removed the responsibility that I had for an animal, removed everything so that I could have complete freedom and mobility. The sacrifice was all of my stability. So when we talk about sacrifices in that last episode, or when we talk about surrender, and as we talk about fear, you have to understand, in order to move to the next level, in order to continue climbing the mountain, you're going to come across rivers, you're going to come across rock falls, you're going to come across detours where you've got to detour all the way back because you hit a dead end and there was just nowhere to go forward from that point in time. And do you give up, or do you backtrack? And do you find another path to take? And so when you hold on to fear, I want you guys to understand that it is powerful, but it is up to you and your choice. Do I face my fear, or do I allow my fear to debilitate me? Do I allow the fear to take over, or do I push myself past the fear, into the darkness, into the uncertainty, and understand as long as I keep moving forward, I'm making progress. It might not be as quickly as I would like it. It might not be as intense. It might not be as joyful as you want it, right? But when you push forward, when you push through the fear, you understand that it's literally not nearly as bad as it originally looked. So in that moment, I was not sure about life, about business, about my finances, about anything else in my life. And I chose possibility over problem. I decided to go back home to Massachusetts so I could stay with my family. Not like I wanted to do that. A grown adult, 36 years old, moving back in with his parents. But that was a temporary solution. I knew that I wasn't going to be here permanently, but this was a best option for me to pay off the attorney fees, do the responsible thing. I set up an office space in Massachusetts at a gym I used to work at as a trainer 20 years ago. I reconnected with the owner, established my office space, but I pushed the pedal to the metal. I wanted to grow this company. I wanted to travel. I wanted to see places. I wanted to go and do things and have the experiences of not being tied down. And I was no longer tied down. So over the course of the last 4 years since that happened, what I actually have been able to do is go through 42, 43 different states. I've explored places I would never have been able to go because I drive the country. I have sacrificed comfortability for the ability to experience places, people, things. I've slept in my car countless nights. I have slept in hotels. I have slept in Airbnbs. I have slept on colleagues' couches. I have slept on air mattresses at colleagues' homes who have allowed me to stay with them as we hosted courses and taught in different states. And you realize everything is temporary. When you come to the realization that life itself is temporary, and life itself in this realm as you know it will come to an end, it really hits you in a different way and expands your mind to say, what am I fearful of? If I can overcome and I can understand the fear of dying, that one day I will no longer be here. It could be tomorrow. It could be when I'm 95 years old. But one day, the certainty is it will end. And so why am I holding on to fear? Why am I letting fear freeze me from doing something, from going somewhere, from teaching, from exploring, from having these experiences? And you start to realize life is what you give to it. The meaning of life, at least in my opinion, is to experience all there is to experience in this life. And for those who are held back by fear, fear of starting their own business, fear of failing, fear of being judged, fear of being made fun of, fear of feeling ashamed, fear of whatever it is, you are building that prison for yourself, and you are holding that cell door shut. And sometimes when things happen that you don't want to happen, or they might be your biggest fears coming true, the universe, God, source, whatever you call it, is giving you an opportunity to grow, to experience life, and to realize everything is temporary. Your relationships, your homes, your locations, everything, financials, right? Everything is temporary. So if you can learn to let go of fear, you will have a far more enjoyable, peaceful path that is full of clarity and not full of fear. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope that these episodes are touching base with some of you, maybe hitting home, maybe helping you through some of the stuff by hearing my story. And as always, please hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, hit the like button, leave a comment. I would love to hear from you guys. If you have any questions on my life, my stories, my journeys that I've shared with you so far, let me know. If you want to know anything else, again, let me know. Leave those comments. Thanks for watching, guys. We will see you next week in episode 7.